Hello everybody, this is Psych, and do not worry, this is the next video in the Rec series for Motorstorm Apocalypse, but I want to use this time before the actual Rec video to talk about not only this game, but the Motorstorm series in general, because as a fan of the series, I feel that it is my responsibility, my duty, to inform people of the series for anybody that may be interested in getting into it in the future. I feel that they need to be given a heads up of the series in general before they just dive headfirst into it, because they need to be made aware of how the series works and what you should expect and what you should not expect and what you should do and what you should not do. So we'll just start from the very beginning with the original Motorstorm. The original Motorstorm's strange in the fact that the update was actually on the disc. It was super early PlayStation 3, 2006, I believe. So it was before PlayStation did its uploads or updates through the menu. So the update was actually on the disc, and you had to update the game in order to use any of the DLC that was purchased for it. Well, as far as I know, it's not possible to update the game through the disc. Now, it could be that it is my specific type of PlayStation 3 that I'm using that refuses to allow it to happen because I'm using a Super Slim. I do know for a fact for different styles of Xbox 360s, certain features that are on one game will work on a regular 360, but not on a Slim 360. So maybe it's one of those situations. I don't know. I'm really not too interested in finding out, but basically what you should go under the assumption is that all the DLC for the original Motorstorm is unavailable. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend not purchasing any of it for two main reasons. One, because you can't use it, and two, all the DLC vehicles for the original Motorstorm are available in the next game, Pacific Rift, except for the Patriot 85, I believe it's called. It's based off the DeLorean DMC-12, and it was only released in the PAL region. So, jumping to Pacific Rift, the next game in the series, they improved upon every facet of the original Motorstorm, including DLC that you could actually use and didn't have to jump through hoops to potentially use it, having to track down two different systems. Now, the one bad thing that the game did, which honestly is forgivable considering how many positive things that they did in comparison with the original Motorstorm, is the game had a lot of unlockable vehicles that you could only unlock through online play, and since the servers have shut down, those vehicles are no longer accessible. Now, to an extent, because certain vehicle liveries were released as DLC, and if you purchase the livery, then you unlock that vehicle, some of which were exclusive to online play. So that's one way you can get certain vehicles in regular offline single-player play, as well as a handful of vehicles that are no longer available in Pacific Rift, but they were originally in the original Motorstorm and not as DLC, so you may not be able to use them in one game, but you can use them in the other game, much like the DLC for Motorstorm is not available in Motorstorm, but you can use it in Pacific Rift. So that leaves about 2 vehicles that are completely unobtainable. There's no DLC liveries. They're not available in any other games. They are just completely unavailable at this moment, which is a bummer, but honestly, for all the improvements that Pacific Rift did, it's kind of forgivable, at least in my opinion. And then we move on to Arctic Edge. This game had one piece of DLC, and it was only available for the PlayStation Portable because the other system that the game was released for was the PlayStation 2, and obviously they didn't have DLC for that system, so it was one vehicle that I believe is still available if you want it. but again, in terms of what you can do in the game versus what you can't do, very forgivable, especially because Arctic Edge has the least amount of screw-ups of the entire Motorstorm series, in my opinion. And it's not even really a screw-up, it's just kinda... be nice if us PlayStation 2 owners could have that vehicle, but hey, no harm, no foul, I guess. And skipping Apocalypse, going to the next game in this series, Motorstorm RC, that game had a handful of vehicles that were specific. One vehicle is specific to the PlayStation Vita system, so it's not available on the PS3. One is exclusive to the UK region, so not the North American region. And one vehicle was released for a limited time that is no longer available, even though there are 2 other vehicles that were released for a limited time that are currently available for purchase. And also they released a complete edition for that game. So aside from those 2 DLC vehicles that you can still access, every other thing in the game that you could get for DLC is just available in one package, and you actually get it for both the PS3 and the PS Vita if you're interested in that, so that's pretty cool, honestly. And now we get to Motorstorm Apocalypse. The one game in the series that I had just such high hopes for. The highest hopes. And it just plummeted. Icarus flew too high to the sun. This game has a story mode. The only game in the series to have a story mode. Aside from that, and the specific vehicles that you can use in that particular mode, all the other vehicles that are not naturally unlocked at the beginning of the game are only unlocked through online play, and the online servers are shut down. So they are unobtainable. Vehicles that were already in the game are unobtainable because the online servers are shut down. I think that is just absolutely asinine and ridiculous. I truly do not know what else to say. It baffles me. And not only that, but the vehicles that are already available at the beginning of the game, every vehicle, most vehicles, have interchangeable parts. Well, a vehicle may have 4 front bumper parts and back bumper parts and side mirror parts, but only 2 of them are unlocked at the very beginning. All the other unlockable parts are only available through online play, which is no longer available. So your options are super limited. As well as they did some weird DLC vehicles that one was released for a limited time and it literally cost $7. It was promoted as a status symbol, if you will. Unofficially, but that's what it was. And then another one that's unlocked just if the developers felt like giving it to you. It's dumb. There's no reason why vehicles should be like that. It's $7 for a DLC car. Luckily, I was not around to purchase that, because then I would just be hating myself for spending $7 on one vehicle in a game that shouldn't have spent any money on the DLC. Well, enough to get the wreck, but really anything more than that, probably not. As well as the DLC events, some of which I believe cost money, or all of them cost money, are now no longer available because you have to go through the online server to get access to them, and the online server is no longer available, so you can no longer access them. So you could spend money on something that you can't use. Evolution Studios, why? The one benefit I will say, and very rarely will you hear me say this, so you know it means something when I do, but thank goodness the wreck of this game, the Wombat Darkwood, was DLC. Because A, it gives you access to it right away. You don't have to unlock it through online play, which you can't do anymore. And B, all the bonus parts and interchangeable pieces are unlocked from the start. All the different options of all the different DLC vehicles. So that is just a huge sigh of relief on my part. So let me just give you a quick rundown of all the games in this series and what you should and what you should not do in terms of DLC purchasing. The original Motorstorm, no DLC at all. Pacific Rift, yes DLC, because you can still get it. Arctic Edge, if you have the PlayStation 2 version, no need to worry about it. If you have the PlayStation Portable version, see if you can still get it. If not, not a big deal. Motorstorm RC, I would say yes. Get the complete edition and then spend the 99 cents to get the one vehicle, and the other one is free, so it's like 99 cents for 2 vehicles. And then Apocalypse. Yes to the vehicles, no to the events. And I would definitely say yes to the vehicles if you plan on doing a lot of local offline multiplayer, like split screen multiplayer. Then definitely get the DLC vehicles, so that way your roster starts off with a lot more options. Alright, that's everything I wanted to say. I've said my piece. We are no longer going to be upset about the way things are done about this series anymore. Not that we really have to worry about that anymore, because Evolution Studios no longer exists. They kind of went under. I wonder why. But thank you all for listening. Thank you all for putting up with my ramblings. Again, I do it because I care, and I do not want anybody else to potentially be screwed out of money for enjoyment of a game series, because it really is a great game series if it just didn't have all these little details to screw it up. Every single game has something, and it's just such a bother. But it is what it is. I've given you my opinion. You can do with it what you want. And now let us all proceed with the actual rec video of Motorstorm Apocalypse. Hello everybody, this is Psych with Psych's Rec, Motorstorm Apocalypse. A really awesome game in theory, with its hiccups of which I've already discussed, and we're not going to dwell upon that. We're going to dwell upon the positives of this game, and one of the biggest positives of this game is the wreck of this game. This vehicle, the Wombat Darkwood. A fairly decent name. Darkwood sounds really cool, but then you realize, like, no, it's dark wood, like from a tree. But it also kind of makes me think of like a forest, kind of like a haunted forest, like the Dark Woods. So that's really cool. This right here is pretty much the vehicle that you get as soon as you purchase the DLC. By the way, this is DLC, and as I've already made mention of, thank goodness for that. But the only thing I changed is one of the grill attachments is this skull with the horns on it. And I also put floodlights on the bumper. And I added this little kind of matte black stripe on the windshield. And I believe I left everything else as is, so just kind of like, I didn't take anything away, I didn't switch anything out, I just added. Because I thought it was necessary, or apropos. But anyways, I suppose I'll, yeah, quit like that. So, the Motorstorm series, it's this like racing series, very similar to something like Fuel, where it's a racing competition at the ends of the earth. Now, every other game in the series takes place in like a very remote location. The first game takes place in a desert. The second game takes place in a jungle / volcano. The third game takes place in the Arctic. And then this game takes place in a city on the verge of a massive earthquake. So you're literally driving through different parts of the city as it's being destroyed by the earthquake. And there's like tornadoes and other things. A bunch of stuff crumbles down, and this all happens during the races, and it's really intense. Yeah, I suppose I'll just do a quick race. It's AI opponents. Jack it up. It can have up to 16 players, so why not? Mode, laps, track. Need me a good starting track. What's a good starting track? Dock of the Bay's alright. Change vehicle. I believe I have the one I... Nope. There we go. Darkwood. And start. But, well, I guess not but very similar to Fuel, the Motorstorm is a festival. So there's music, there's like a concert, and there's lights and cookouts and all that sort of stuff. It's like a celebration of extreme racing in extreme conditions. In case I forgot to mention, the 5th game in the series is Motorstorm RC, so it's RC cars like Revolt. So it's obviously very, very much more tame and kind of fantastical, honestly. But it's still a lot of little fun. Now, what's awesome about this game in the series is this game, I believe, has the most vehicle classes, because pretty much every game in the series has, you know, dirt bikes, ATVs, muscle cars, semi-trucks, or big rigs, excuse me. And then eventually they start adding things like supercars and monster trucks and mud pluggers, which are basically just racing trucks with big tires that are meant to go like on muddy roads and whatnot. Oh, and by the way, I'm inside a ship. Oh, it's not so creepy from the inside. I'm just kidding. It's terrifying. Flop. Ugh. And what's also interesting is that the game has an emphasis on terrain being specific to different types of vehicles. So lighter vehicles, or vehicles that are more specified to things like paved roads, like muscle cars, supercars, choppers, sports bikes, ATVs. Well, ATVs kind of work better with the muds, but you have to find the paths that are the most paved, the most urban, and then certain vehicles like mud pluggers, monster trucks, ATVs can work very well off-road in very muddy, wet terrain. So pretty much every track is split up into different areas that are basically dry and high up, which require much more nimbler, maneuverable vehicles. And then just kind of bigger, open, yet muddy, marshy areas that work better with like big rigs and monster trucks and things of that nature. Also, you have boost, and if you boost too much, you can explode. Let's see if I can do a boost explosion over the goal. I know it's required in some of the games where you can, not required, but you can boost explode over the finish line to get some points, and it's for like trophies and things of that nature. And I can just say trophies for this because this game is exclusive to the PlayStation. The whole game series is, I believe. No, I don't think I'm gonna... Yeah. There we go. That was nice. I finished first. That was great. A nice little mix of vehicles, too. That's always good to see. Oh! That guy exploded. Da-da-da-da. So, just to not break away from the flow of things and cut out a lot of load times, I'm just gonna off-screen to the next race, so see ya there. Alrighty, we're here back in the next race. I believe it's the track mainline, or mainland. It has something to do with like the sewer system, and as you can see, I'm using my kind of rusted beater wreck Darkwood thing. I think somebody just already exploded. So anyways, I figured I'd take this opportunity to talk about my experience with the Motorstorm series. I have experience with all the games in the series at this very moment, and it's all very random because the first game that I played was Arctic Edge because it was for the PlayStation 2, and I figured I'd start with that and work my way forward in terms of, you know, console generation. So I completely beat Arctic Edge 100%, which was fairly challenging. The games definitely have a certain challenge to them, which is, you know, fine. If that differentiates it from every other racing game, aside from it's just sweet. Oh, whoops. There's a there's a pit there. There's a cliff there. I just kind of fell into it. That's what I did. And then I played. Okay, so yeah, don't go not head on head, but head on tail with a monster truck. And then I played Pacific Rift, this game, and the original. No. If you remember back when I did the rec video for Gran Turismo 6, I said that there were 3 living arrangements that I was in. Oh, goof. There were 3 living arrangements that I was in before my current setup. And the Gran Turismo 6 one was the second of the 2 in that particular hotel. Well, this game, and Pacific Rift, and the original Motorstorm, was the first one, because as soon as I moved to my current city... What did I just hit? Ugh. When I moved to my current city, I moved into one hotel for about 3 weeks, and I played a lot of just random different games. I played... Did I do this one first? I think I did Pacific Rift first. I still haven't 100% completed it yet, but it's definitely in my backlog of games to do that with, so I'll get there eventually. And then I played this one, I believe. And then I started playing the original Motorstorm, and that's why I found out all that junk about, you know, not being able to use any of the DLC and all that sort of stuff, so it kind of turned me off a bit. Oh, this tunnel is coming down, yo. Oh, that's not good. Maybe, hopefully, I won't fall into the pit this time. Also, I completely forgot to mention it when it was relevant, but of all those... I missed the opportunity to see this bridge fall down. There's little, like, set pieces like that that'll kind of zoom into a specific thing going on. It's... Oh, just like this! Oh, my goodness. I think I'm going this way. Or not. There was a pit there. What in the world? That what? I don't even know what that was. Oh. Anyway, I'm gonna finish my train of thought, I swear. In the first living arrangement, I was in the first hotel for about 3 weeks. I played this game, Pacific Rift. Oh, goodness. The original Motorstorm for a bit. Still haven't completed that one 100% yet. I played through Dead Rising 2 twice. Once with the Leadership magazine, once without, and that's how I could, you know, confirm, at least through my experience, that you cannot get to level 50 in one playthrough of Dead Rising 2 without the Leadership magazine, the one that gives you the prestige bonus for survivor-related activities. As well as I completely played through Trials HD and halfway through Trials Evolution, and all that. And then what I meant to say was during the rec video for Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, that was supposed to be representative of the third of the 3 living arrangements when I was in the place that I'm living now, but before I had internet or a bed or, oh goodness, or anything like that. I started playing San Andreas in the second living arrangement in the hotel. I got story-wise into Las Venturas, and then I stopped, and then I moved, and then I resumed from there. And that was just a really fun time, just playing that game on my floor. My TV was on my floor, my game system was on my floor, my bed was on my floor, and my living arrangement was just very empty and all that sort of stuff. But it was exciting. It was a lot of fun. So that's what I meant to say. Okie doke, I'm going to show off one more race in one more different style wreck, so see you in a second. Alright, here we are at the third of the 3 type of levels that I wanted to show off. This level is insane. I really do enjoy it because the whole track takes place on top of these skyscrapers because the entire ground is flooded. So you're racing on the skyscrapers because that's the only thing to drive on, and I'm using my racing style dark wood, something very similar to like Midnight Club 3, if you will. Oh my god, just welcome to the race. Oh, come on. There we go. I'll make something happen. Oh, yeah. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I believe the wreck of this game is a 72, ouch, El Camino. It's not a 73, I don't think, because the taillights are not in the bumper. Oh, pfft. But the nose is right in that wall. That's one thing that did actually happen. Now, granted, you could make a vehicle that looks like a 73 El Camino and then just put the taillights in where taillights normally are. That's not that big a deal, but, you know. I like to think there's some... Hi, helicopter! How are you? Oh, that sounds terrible. Oh my god. Oh, okay. Kind of fishtailed out there a little bit. I completely forgot what I was talking about. Oh, hey, helicopter, you better watch out. That crane will come for you. But what was I gonna say? Oh, this vehicle very much. Oh, okay. So the vehicle customization, I made a racing dark wood, something very similar to like Midnight Club 3. But the whole vehicle itself, the whole like kind of, it's very thick shaped. Kind of reminds me of Flat Out Ultimate Carnage. The Lentis also kind of had that thickness to it. So ain't nothing wrong with that. You love a good thick. Oh, and by the way, in case anybody's wondering, yes, there is a story to this game. Basically, it's the Motorstormers heading out to this city that is known to be on the verge of water tower, on the verge of a giant earthquake. You know, kind of what we're dealing with right now. Oh. And so they want to experience racing through the city before the earthquake destroys the entire city. So, and it kind of takes place over 3 stories, 3 different individuals' perspectives. So it's pretty cool, and there's collectible cards that give you information on different aspects of the entire Motorstorm series, except for RC, which I don't believe was made at this time. Boost! Oh, come on. Oh, airtime. Air timing. There we go. Finish first again. Like that. Oh, goodness. Again, I wish this game would have just... I wish the developers would have just done this game right, because it's so... Well, that wasn't glorious, but for the record, I wasn't driving, so that wasn't my fault. But this game just has so much beauty to it. It's such a great idea for a racing game during an earthquake that completely shakes apart an entire city, and as you saw, like, different events will happen and things will break and roads will crumble and all that sort of stuff. It's just what could have been, I guess. You doofus AI driver. But anyways, I'm going to leave it off here. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for putting up with this incredibly long video. I apologize, but I hope you understand. And I will see you next time for the next Psych's wreck.